All right, hi everybody. So we are live and on air. It's Mike here with Claude Baron, and we're going to get started in just a quick second. I just want to remind you, I see many of you typing in the chat, which I really appreciate. Let us know your name, where you're from. Feel free to chat with each other. You know, one thing I often encourage when it comes to social media and videos like this is here are other people who are really trying to figure out social media as well. So if you're looking for other people to connect with and talk about all this stuff, it's a great place to find some people who are on the ball with it. Now, sometimes what happens is we'll see people having buffering issues with these videos. So if you need, you can always refresh your screen. It's usually a function F5. So sometimes on laptops it's that, or you do a Control R on Chrome that would reload your current page. So that's a good thing to know as well. The other thing I'll mention is Claude is going to be sharing some of his Facebook streams that might make things a little bit small from time to time. So if you click on the gear at the bottom of your YouTube video, you should be able to move it up to HD quality. And that way you'll see things a little bit clearer. Keep in mind, though, you need a good internet connection to do that because this is going live. So keep that in mind. So with that said, we're ready to get started. Now, you'll notice a couple things. There's going to be, I set up a Google Q&A with slides, so you can leverage that for questions. I've heard some people had difficulty asking questions via the chat. So if that's the case, you can go to that link. I posted at the very start of the chat. I'll repost it again in just a second here. But you can go there and ask your questions. You know, our goal with this, and we just finished up the French one actually just maybe 30 minutes ago, and you know, it was very interactive with a lot of questions. So you know, we definitely want to get you what you want from this webinar. So that's pretty much what it all says. Of course, you know, feel free to share this with anybody you think might benefit from it. We are recording it as we speak. You can rewatch it at any time. And hey, if you enjoyed the webinar, feel free to give it a little thumbs up near the end. I'd never mind that. Also in the RLP network, you'll find recordings of these webinars under training and webinar training. You'll see Building Your Tech Toolkit and Sales Success. You can check those out. And without further ado, I want to introduce Claude Baron. He's a broker with Royal LePage Terre Equity here in Mississauga. In Toronto, essentially. Yeah. The GTA is what ends up happening, of course. He's an instructor at the University of Toronto and York University. He co-wrote Commercial Real Estate Investing in Canada, the complete reference guide with his father and partner, Pierre Boiron. And he wrote Make More Money, Find More Clients, Close Deals Faster, the Canadian Real Estate Agent's Essential Business Guide. And that's one thing that we want to talk about in terms of that. His book, we have some copies here today. We have 4 of them, I think we are doing.
4, yeah, you're right.
4 of them. 4. So we're going to be checking out the questions. There we go. We're going to be checking out the questions, and essentially near the end of this webinar, we are going to give out 4 copies of his book so that you can check it out. So without further ado,
well, Mike, actually, before you get started, I have to razz you for a second. Mike did say we just finished the French version. So Mike's brain is running in French. That's why he said it's Claude Boiron. For the Anglophones out there, you might hear me refer to myself for your Anglophone ears as Claude Boiron. If you can't remember my last name, picture a little boy running. Boy, run. Thank you.
All right. So, as I said, you know, the format here is essentially to be a little bit open, to have some questions and answers, and to really see where we end up with this. So we had a lot of questions in the French, but let's get started with the most basic of questions, which is just really saying, you know, Claude, I know, you know, earlier you mentioned you started on Facebook pretty much on a personal level, but when you really started to get into it, start. So, you know, what channels are you using on this?
Well, so for me, the first step, and with any of you who haven't gotten into Facebook for business, it can be intimidating. Where do you start? Facebook is incredibly powerful, and I was intimidated the same way. I haven't been using Facebook for business, or when I say for business, I mean having created a business page on Facebook, which is the one that you can see on your screen right here. My personal one is just my name. There's my personal one, and my business one is here. So I really only created a business one. I should go and look, but it's probably only been about 2.5 years. And I did it because I felt it was the first step down the road to understanding how to use Facebook for business. So I just created the page, had to choose a name, had to choose a handle, and that was it. And then the next step was, okay, what am I going to post? How am I going to attract people who are interested in what I have to say or what I'm up to? And that's where we I kind of went very slowly, one picture, one video, one little comment, invited a bunch of friends that I was already connected to personally on Facebook to like my business page. And then it kind of snowballed from there. So really just, it started very simply. And every time I post something, or every time I look at what other people are posting, I'm learning a little bit more. And today I'll talk about, up till now, I've really just been posting plain pictures or videos. And just in the last week or 10 days, I started playing around with an app where you can start modifying the pictures, making comments on them, adding little icons and stuff like that. So I'll get to that in a bit.
So in terms of that, then now one other question that might come up is, I know you're part of a team.
Yes.
And so, I've talked to many agents think, oh, he's part of a team. He must have somebody who manages that. He's got somebody who does it all for him. So how involved are you with your own Facebook?
I'm embarrassed to say, and any team leaders out there are going to razz me for this. I run a team of about half a dozen agents. I have my own assistant who's unlicensed, and she's a full-time employee. And my admission is I do all of my social media stuff still myself. I know it's not good, but I'm getting to the point where I think I'm going to be able to ease her into doing some of it for me or with me. As you'll see as we go along in the next hour or so, a lot of what I do on social media is very personal. Not personal as in private personal, but personal in that I expose sections of my personal life and sections of my business life to social media. And so the way that I choose to use social media for business, it would be very difficult to have somebody other than myself completely manage it. So the truth is, even though I run a team, I'm doing all of this myself, and I'm doing it. I know that, the social media gurus like Mike would say, well, there are certain times of the day that are better and optimal. And I know that, and mea culpa, but I don't have the discipline to do that. Still growing my team. I'm not good at time blocking, putting in half an hour in my calendar for various tasks, though I managed to get this webinar into my calendar and make it here. So really the way that I post, the way that I use social media is, well, let me take a step back. What I find the most important is to make sure you're capturing content when you have the opportunity. So I think all of us have one of these things. Smartphone, don't care which brand. Well, I kind of do, but it doesn't really matter right now. Most of the modern ones have exceptional cameras, usually at least 2, sometimes more than that these days, which are great video cameras as well. So the first step for getting active on social media, in my opinion, is when you have the opportunity to capture a moment in a picture or a video, just do it. So if I wanted to promote the fact that Mike and I are best buddies all of a sudden and we're here, I would snap a picture, because by the time I get back to my office, I don't have a mannequin of Mike in the back of my car, as much as I'd like to have, that I can drag out and take a selfie with him. So I have to do it now, otherwise the opportunity passes. It's not something to stress about, but very often I'll be showing a house. There'll be a really neat little feature. It can be as stupid as a pattern in some marble that I just go, oh, that's funny. That looks like a star or a heart. I'm going to take a picture. Will I ever use it? I don't know. But if I have it, at least I have the option to do so. So I have hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of pictures and videos that I could use now or down the road, because I only put up a very small fraction of what I capture. So that's first step, is make sure you're capturing content if you do want to share some of your personal or business life through pictures and videos on social media. I post usually not more than 3 times a day. And very often, though, I will have 2, 3, 4, 5 days that go by where I don't post anything. Is that good? No. Am I human? Yes. And that's kind of the point. In the way that I use social media for business, it's to humanize this robotic real estate broker into somebody who's likable, knowledgeable, and approachable.
So talk to us then about, and I'll bring up your Facebook page here, but I mean, talk to us about some of the posts that you're, that you're talking about, where you're really showing your personality and who we are.
Yeah. So I'll start with one that's a little bit of a longer chat. I'll try to make it quick. So I had, some of you might have seen this already. I pinned this post, so that's pinning it so that it's at the top of my business page. And that's just because it got a lot of media attention. So this is my daughter in the video. Her name's Belle. She's still 8 years old, and this was posted February 8th. It was a listing that I had, and I wanted to shoot some video for it. we ended up, long story short, my daughter was a little bored when she was with me. I sent everybody home and I said, you know, go fix your hair. And we ended up shooting for about an hour. She had a lot of fun with it. I flipped all the footage to a video editor, a friend of mine, who was willing to play with it to see what she could come up with. She was surprised by what we'd captured. And she put together this great, I don't know, 5-minute video, a little bit of creative posting and a little bit of boosting. And we ended up getting, reaching over 230,000 people on Facebook alone, 115,000 views of the video. What I really like though is that 120 people shared this video to friends or their own pages. A lot of realtors did that actually. Some great comments. I think we had something like 60 comments, some from as far as this is somebody I know in France who commented on the video in French. And then of course others who are not in France. And that was the point, was really to show that, you know, we invest in our listings by getting into creative marketing. This was a great blend of business, from what I just said, investing in our listings and marketing, and personal. So my life, my daughter, I'm a single father. She's a great kid, and she spends so much time with me that when we're on our own, we talk about real estate. She comes to a few showings sometimes if it's, you know, a client is a friend. So this was just a great culmination of that. It got a lot of quality realtors talking to me, because for those of you who've been doing this for a while, you'll find that other realtors are not really competition. We're here to help each other. This is a tricky business. And a lot of what I've learned online and social media and technology for real estate is through other realtors. So it got me in front of a bunch of realtors, some of whom might be interested in sending referrals to a broker who's a little bit more creative with his marketing. And of course, existing clients, sphere of influence, and potential clients saw this video, shared it, and commented on it. So long spiel on one post, but that was the first one that I had pinned. To give you a feel for the other stuff that I put up, this is unfortunately also business, but it's kind of fun. I have a listing in Keswick, Ontario, so just north of Toronto, that we wanted to get a bit more traction. We were holding open houses regularly, and we were getting one person coming in for a 3-hour open house every single time. So I went, what can I do? What can I do? I'll rent out an ice cream truck, park it out front of the house, and advertise free ice cream for anybody who comes through the house. Well, guess what? 3 hours of an ice cream truck, 1 day of having a sign out front of the house before that to drive people. In 3 hours, we had 15 groups come through the house. Now, were they all potential buyers? Not necessarily, but several were qualified and interested. And I'll show you what we did. So this was just a post to show what we did of people having some ice cream cones on us. And a few days before, this is what I put out through Instagram and my Facebook page, for sale sign, but designed as a free ice cream cone sign. And there was, of course, the for sale sign as well. And I'll show you, did a quick little video of that. Whoops, that's never happened before. Okay, anyway, that was a different, oh, there it is. So as you can see in this quick little video, there's the for sale sign in the foreground, and then in the background, there's the free ice cream cone sign. So this is, again, business, but it's kind of fun. Other stuff, I was recently in China. 2 of the realtors on my team speak Mandarin, so we went and were exhibitors at the Luxury Property Showcase, which is a very high-end real estate show in Beijing. And we were there for 3 days for the show. I had half a day after the show before I had to get back on a plane. And so I decided to go see the Great Wall of China and took a few pictures, posted it up. Again, it's personal. I'm there on business, so it's something nice that I can chat about. Fantastic macaroons on display at the 5-star hotel we were at. Here's a good example of mixing business with fun. So while I was at the show, I posted a lot of business stuff. So this is one of the walls of our booth. We were really showing different regions in Toronto. And the other side, it's just loading the other stuff. This was a building. I love the architecture of this building in Beijing, all the construction in Beijing. But I was posting a lot of stuff about the show. So there's our booth. My 2 guys, Clark and Will. One side of the booth is Toronto. The other side of the booth was a map of the GTA showing where mainstream investors and buy to invest and live versus Chinese where they buy and live. if they're residents or whether they're foreign investors, because people in China who are looking to invest or move here are interested in seeing where the concentrations are. The rear wall, of course, proud Canadian. But so we showed a lot of show stuff for a few days. There's some more. That was a dumpling of some sort. Clark speaking to a room of investors. But to finish it off, I'll go back to where I was. I found out that our hostess, who's a friend of Will's, I wrote, apparently our show hostess can draw. So she drew me on a section of our booth wall, which is a map, then made me Superman and finished me off as the devil. So I'll show you. This is just having fun. She drew me. Then she made me into Superman. And at the end, she ended up adding some devil horns. It's fun. It's stupid. It's corny. But it's something for people to use to humanize me and to see that, yeah, while I'm working hard, I'm also human. I'm having fun. That's a bit of a mix of what I put up. And I'll scroll through over the next 45 minutes. I'll scroll through so you guys can have an idea.
So let's talk then about the boosting of that. Because, I mean, I think some people notice that you're boosting some posts.
Yeah. So let me see if I can find one. This is the show. This was a funny picture. The night before the show started, this was like 9 o'clock at night. No, more like midnight, 8 hours to go until the exhibitor registration starts. They hadn't even built the thing. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Oh, let me see. I have a boosted post here somewhere. Oh, here's one. Okay, so this is that Keswick house. One of the things that I love to use to boost, or posts that I like to boost, are every one of our listings that my team takes, we do a 3D tour. So for those of you who aren't doing those or aren't too much in the know, I have one here. This is that Keswick house. This is what it looks like from a dollhouse view. So you can move it around. And this is really easy to grab. So go and I'll pull up a snip tool. I will drag and drop, or sorry, drag and capture that. And then I can save it as an image. And then what I can do is, as you saw, load it to Facebook, add in a few of the other awesome pictures of this fantastic house in Keswick, 76 Richmond Park. Anybody who's got clients up there, I'm still plugging it. We just lowered the price, by the way, $50,000 less. So
we
bring
didn't
your,
agree to this.
No, we didn't, but I'm putting it in there anyways. So enough promotion. So what'll happen is this post that I put up will then get plugged into Facebook users' feeds. And I scheduled it, or I programmed it so that it would target people in the general Keswick, Georgina, Newmarket area geographically, and also targeted based on age. You can target based on sex, other demographic tools, etc. And you can see here the results. So I just pushed this for very little time. I don't remember exactly. We reached 5,300 people. There are some others. Here's a good example. Another house. We had a 3D tour done of. We had an open house that we were looking to promote. So one of my agents asked me to promote this and said, you know, open house this Saturday and Sunday, blah, blah, blah. 3D tour. If you click on it, it brings you to the 3D tour, which is what we want. We want to drive traffic. I say we want to put eyeballs on the property and then in the property. And now with technology, of course, I want people to visit it. But if they're not likely to do so, I still want to get their eyeballs inside the property and see, for example, you know, the gorgeous barn board feature wall they did in the master bedroom, or that there is a walk-in closet, a small one, but still a walk-in closet. So that's what people get if they click on this boosted post. And then you can, so we reached in 24 hours, something like 23,000 people. And people were commenting, hey, this is a guy who's connected to me. Matt's an old friend from high school, but he commented, hey, that's some cool stuff. So when Matt's ready to sell his condo, hint, hint, Matt, who's not a realtor, so you wouldn't hear me anyways. I'm putting it out karmically. When you're ready to sell your condo and buy a house, or keep your condo as an investment and buy a house, let me know. But he knows what I'm up to now. This gentleman, I have no idea who he is. I don't think I'm connected to him, but he thinks it was a neat thing. And oh, he went and tagged people in my boosted post to say, hey, check this out. Now, is he saying check out the technology or check out the 3D tour? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I have an opportunity to then go and reach out to all of these people individually using Facebook technology, but also being personal. Do you mind if I get into that for a second?
No, yeah, of course. Okay. Go ahead.
So some of you may know about this, others not. I'm going to do a little really fancy thing where I'm going to basically show you the screen of my phone. while I do something. So these are the tools that I mostly use for social media: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. There's some tools for modifying pictures like boomerang, layout, hyperlapse. Bottom left or bottom right, Facebook ads app, which allows me to, at a touch, let me just pull it up, at a touch, pull up my ad information on Facebook to see how any campaigns are going. Instead of logging into Facebook, this is a made for mobile phone app, which allows me to do the same thing. So basically monitor my spend and what kind of reactions I'm getting out of people or results. But the other thing that I want to show you is, I'm sure most of you should know about Messenger. It's that app there. So that's Facebook Messenger. And most people use it like BBM or iPhone Messenger or WhatsApp. But there's a great way to use it. When somebody is connecting with you or tagging people on Facebook, you then have a way to get a hold of them. And instead of being impersonal and having some sort of automated message get flicked out to them as soon as they're tagged on your Facebook page that says, hey, look at me, I'm the greatest realtor. Don't you want to buy or sell a house now because you just saw my face on my Facebook page? Instead of doing that, why not connect with them on Facebook Messenger? And I'm going to use Mike here as my guinea pig. Pull up a conversation with Mike, touch the camera button icon right there, face the camera towards me, so internally, and then do a little thing like this. I'm holding the button here at the bottom and I'm saying, hey, Mike, listen, it was great doing this webinar with you in French. I had no idea you spoke French so well. You're too hard on yourself, buddy. And I can tell you're completely at home now in English, so no problem. Blah, 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 just using this as a test. So I release the button. Right away, it starts playing, but it hasn't sent to Mike. So I get to look at myself and go, hey, did I come off okay? And if I'm okay with it, I'm sending it to Mike. Mike's going to get it in Messenger, and he's going to see that I'm a human being. It's through Facebook, so he can connect with me quickly and easily. And I actually said this for the French webinar as well. Look, if you're somebody who's a little, the biggest complaint I get from people, especially agents on my team when I suggest this, is they say, oh, I'm nervous. I don't want to go on camera or something like that. So what I would suggest doing is face the camera away. Let's say you've got a logo or mascot, like a little red dog, red Royal LePage dog, and you've got a mannequin of it. You hold it up, you take it, and you say, hi, I'm Rover the red Royal LePage dog, and I work with Claude all the time. He's the best real estate broker. By the way, Claude wanted me to tell you that he noticed you were tagged on one of his posts. He'd love to chat with you, just wants to make sure you have access to everything you need in real estate. Talk soon. You take a look at it, and if Red Rover did a good job, you send it. And again, you're delivering directly to an individual's phone or tablet or computer, and you're a human being.
And also, as you know, this was something that Claude shared in one of our workshops, and when we were chatting about it. And you know, a lot of the agents in the room were like, "Oh, like I hate typing," and I was like, "There you go. You save all the time on typing. Yeah. You can make a quick message, send it out, and get the word out there real quickly." And like you said, it's very personal. It's not something pre-recorded. It's not something that you go, oh, you know, this is something he sends to everybody. It's something you do personally. Now, a couple questions that I've seen from a number of people who are talking about the boosting of the post and just asking about like how much ultimately did you spend? What's a reasonable amount that you're spending on so in terms of that, just generally, how much are you spending in terms of Facebook advertising?
Good question. So I know this one because my agent who was selling this, and I think it's still available as well, 38 months in Toronto, wanted to, in 24 hours, wanted to just blast this in front of a ton of people and drive the traffic to his open house the next day up. So I think he spent something, if you don't have time, you got to throw more money at it. So that's not the best way to do things, but just to give you an idea, I believe in a 24, 36 hour period, this ad, which we boosted and got 23,000 reached, I think he spent $500 on that. Now, that's not necessarily what you have to spend. So for example, I'm going to go to manage ads in my business account. I'm going to take a look at that ice cream open house thingy jiggy that I did and I boosted. So basically boosting means advertised, paid to get it in front of people. And there are different ways to boost things. So for example, when I boost something that's a 3D tour, I'm actually paying Facebook because when people click, I want them to click on it to go see the 3D tour and walk through it. You can also pay for impressions, where you're basically just paying for it to be shown to people, hoping that your brand is being reinforced. And that's not necessarily good to go and try to, have impressions in front of 1 million people in a large city, because you're just getting drowned out by all the other messages. But if you're targeting just friends of yours on Facebook or friends of friends, you can definitely start increasing your brand recognition that way. So let's see here. I had,
as an aside, by the way, people want to know what the 3D tool you're using for
sure.
dollhouses.
I'll go in 1 second. So I'm just going to finish this. So I had budgeted in a 24-hour period, I'd budgeted $150, and I got 4,000 impressions. Now this is just in Keswick, Georgina, Newmarket. 162 post engagements, so people clicking on it, sharing it, tagging friends of theirs. And because the open house was over, I actually stopped the promotion. So I ended up spending not 150, which was my budget, but $112. And here it'll show you also people who are talking about it are 151 people. So the analytics are insane. It's you basically have too much information. But if you're geeky about that, or you like to crunch data, there's more than enough you could ever digest. And I try to keep a bit of an idea. Like, for example, here I know that it cost me 69 cents per post engagement. I know that a lead with a phone number, email address, and first and last name on Facebook costs anywhere between $3 and $15 to obtain. And I'm going to answer the VR question now. So if you guys go, it's actually their websites that they host all this for me. And every time they do it, it's a page where they put a few details. There's an interactive map. Obviously, beautiful high-res digital photography as well, because we're not just going to rely on 3D. Floor plans, because we're laser scanning, so floor plans are easy to generate. And then our information. If you go to vrlisting.com, so VR like virtual reality, vrlisting.com, and we've used these for 500 square foot condos and for 6,000 square foot houses. And the prices, we always do full packages, which means they do the high-res digital photography, the 3D tour, they generate the floor plans, often generate a flyer for us as well. And everything just show, they also size the pictures so that we have high-res ones, but also MLS-sized ones. And they deliver everything into a Dropbox link for us. So the pricing is anywhere between, I think if I remember properly, something between 400 and if the property gets large, you're into maybe $800, $900. So in my opinion, very affordable. And they also have partnerships with companies that do drone videography and photography if the property really justifies an additional spend for that kind of exposure.
So kind of an aside on that, but Terry Parkinson is asking and I think this relates to kind of your message overall, but do you think having these interactive tours brings down open house traffic? Really, why go to the open house when they can see the inside of the house? And she's just kind of wondering what your opinion is on that. And that ties a little bit into Royal LePage Progressive Realty, was asking how many people showed up.
So to my agent's open house at 38 Munson, I believe he was getting on average 2 to 3 people. When we boosted it, he got about a dozen people. So it's not just because you've been exposed to 20,000 people does not mean the house is gonna be knocked over by the stampede of people. But we do usually see a nice uptick. So like I said, 2 to 3 on a normal open house for that property in that area. Targeted boosting geographically and per demographics that we selected, we got that up, I guess about 400%, because we got into about a dozen people the next open house.
So I think you see this, people still want to go see it.
Of course.
But this is another avenue for them, and it gets more interest than anything else.
And the thing that I loved, I'll just talk really quickly for a minute about the 3D tours. The thing that I love about it, so I run a very multicultural team. So I think out of 8 of us, I think we can transact in about 12 different languages. And so what we found happening is that newer to Canada or foreign investors sometimes there were adult children here who were supposed to make the decision on buying a property for themselves or for investment, or for their parents or their family who were going to come later, or even different situations where people live across the country or in the same continent. but they were making the decision to potentially buy a property, but then they'd say, wait, but my parents have to come, or out of respect, the person who's, giving me the majority of the money for this transaction should see it. And so we were missing out on transactions. And so, especially in the hot market of the last few years in the GTA. So for us, the 3D tours are a godsend, because we can just say, hey, just send your family member a link. Anywhere in the world, they can go online. It's a website. They can walk around it to their heart's content. I'm not going to be doing a showing for 5 hours because they have to touch everything. They're going to look around on the computer, and usually that's enough for them to say, son, daughter, family member, friend, whatever, you picked well, you have my blessing, I agree, go buy it.
Nice. So this ties into, I guess, the next question, which is coming in from Rhonda Landgren, but she just asks about, how does boosting work?
Okay, so I'm going to just run you through it. I'll do one right now. As an aside, you know what we didn't talk about? So I showed the 3D tour, but so we did talk about, there are 3 books. The books that I'm going to be giving away and mailing to you guys individually are for the 3 best questions. So please do keep going with that. But I know some people are super, super shy. So I'm also going to be doing a draw with a 4th book for free. Anybody who likes my professional or business Facebook page, Boyron Group, Claude Boyron, the Boyron Group, as well as, I need to see both, Pointman PR public relations. Pointman is the one who actually got me close to $1 million of ad value exposure with that video of my daughter, which went viral on Facebook. We went on CTV National, CTV Local, Toronto, City TV, all Radio Canada, all kinds of incredible exposure. So I just want to thank him by saying, like his page, like my business page, and you'll be entered into a draw for a 4th book that I'll send out next week. So that aside, until recently, I think I mentioned, I've been doing a lot of just simple picture and simple video without a lot of editing posts, unless I have a professional helping me. And a week to 10 days ago, I discovered this website. It's called Canva, short for Canvas, canva.com. And what it allows you to do, it's a free site. You can upgrade from nominal amount of money to have some better features. But really, even for the free one, what it allows you to do is, what I did here, took a picture of a listing that we just sold near Sherway Gardens in the west end of Toronto. Beautiful picture, nice sky and everything of their balcony. Just sold it. We sold it for 11% more than the most recent comparable sale in the building. But what's interesting about that is that most recent sold comparable was before the Ontario government announcements to control the real estate market. And we just sold a week ago or 10 days ago. So it's, even though it's only 11% more than the most recent sold, it's actually technically more than that, because the market's been slipping in the Greater Toronto area. So we really wanted to showcase that and make our clients feel really great about what happened. And so I took a picture, dragged it into Canva, and then just started typing up stuff. Like, for example, earlier I was saying, bonjour, Roy LePage. Here I'll just say, hello, RLP. It's that simple. You can move stuff around to your heart's content super easily. I'm not a graphic designer. You can rotate anything that you drag in. You can rotate it, move it around, put it wherever you want. But I've already saved a version of this. So I'm going to go back to this version that I saved. I'm going to upload it as a post to my business page. We're going to add a picture, grab it from my desktop. I'm going to say, so happy for my seller clients. Oops. And now, instead of publishing this the way most of us usually send out, we don't use, sorry, I was distracted by a question. Thanks, Eric. I'll get to you in a minute. Usually we publish something, a picture, a video right away. What I'm going to do instead here is, if I wanted, let's say this was another video that I wanted to promote, or a 3D tour, I would upload the links, the pictures, the videos here, and then I would click boost. And here is where you can start selecting the audience you're going to be targeting. So I had an RLP test that I set up earlier. I could only target the people who like my page, or I could target the people who like my page and their friends. because they might notice that we have friends in common and they might feel more secure in connecting with me. Instead, I'm going to create a new audience to show very quickly. Let's call it RLP Anglo test versus the Franco test earlier. I'm not going to say I want to target men or women more than others at this point. Let's say somebody who's between the ages of, let's say it's a more expensive property. So I'm going to say, I think it's going to be somebody in the between 30 and 60. It's not an area for retirees or anything like that. 30 to 60. And then I'm not going to do the whole city of Toronto. I'm actually going to target, using a map, I'm going to target a radius from, you know what, where I drop a pin. So let's drop a pin near Keswick. I'm going to delete my Toronto pin. So see how there's a nice big circle now around Keswick, and it says that my audience, so automatically Facebook will say your audience is fairly broad. So potentially, if I spend enough money boosting this, I could reach 58,000 people. So if I wanted to reach more people, I would just increase the radius. Now I'm up to 100,000 people. So what that means is within that radius, men and women between the ages of 30 and 60, there are approximately 100,000, excuse me, 100,000 Facebook users in that area. And then if I wanted to continue, I would say save.
Before you continue though, some people were asking just about the demographics. Do you ever put demographic stuff in your ads, like in terms of their interests, their hobbies?
Yeah, sure. So the way that I word things, if there's wording, and usually there is that goes along with it, I will use different words. Based on your understanding of your target audience, you should know how they speak, how they want to be spoken to. You know, millennials are not going to want to, you know, read paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of text. They want to see, I'm generalizing here, but they want to see visuals and then just quick snippets, little information, bits of information they can sock away. If I were to use that RLP Anglo test audience that I've created, I'm going to have a budget, let's say, of $150. I'm going to run it for 7 days. So I'm going to reach between 7,400 and 19,000 people of the 59,000 potential from the audience that I've selected. And I'm going to spend an average of $21.42 per day. It'll run for 7 days. And if I want to continue, I just hit set budget and I keep going. So it's really that simple. You can, Facebook and Instagram are more or less one and the same. So you can choose whether you're just boosting your post on Facebook or whether you're doing it on Instagram or on both at the same time. And Instagram, for those of you who aren't active, it's more about visuals. It's not a lot about written typed stuff.
And then this ties into the next question in terms of that also from Mary Coughlin. Will the boosted post appear, and we talked about this a little bit in the French one as well, but do you prefer to have it in the news feed or along the right column of Facebook? Great
question. I find that the right column feels very ad-y, very advertising like. And I prefer, as you see from the types of things that I post, you get a bit of a feel for my personality in business. I'm very personable, friendly. And so I prefer to have it in the news feed in the center because I think that people, my opinion is that people don't write it off as an advertisement as quickly, even though it says sponsored in faint letters. I feel like people are more receptive to it being part of their actual news feed if it's in the middle there.
Gotcha. So let's get into what you just touched upon a little bit, and is a question that's coming from Sue Bork.
Can I interrupt you for one quick second?
You can always interrupt.
I told me Eric had distracted me. I don't want to forget to answer his question.
Oh,
Eric had. Oh, you are going to.
No, go for it. Go
Eric had said, Claude, I noticed that you shared the video of your daughter, but didn't like it. Is there a rule of thumb for liking or not liking your own posts or shares? Thanks, Eric. I'm not an expert in that. My personal opinion is, it seems kind of, there are people who do it. I find it's kind of weird to like my own thing. I mean, I put it up there because I like it. But there's some incredibly successful people in social media and in business in general who like their own posts regularly. So I'm not going to knock it. It's just not something that I do. So that's my quick take.
Authenticity.
Back to you.
So the question then, but from Suborg, she's just asking about what are your thoughts on the percentage of business and non-business posts on your business page in particular?
Well,
oh, did it? Okay.
Sorry,
some people are saying we're cutting out.
Uh-oh.
Let me do one quick thing. Sorry, I'm going to do. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I see that.
But hey guys, can you hear us now? Are we back? Let us know in the chat, please. You have visual but no sound. Thanks, Rebecca. We're working on it.
Ah, there we are. Good.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the feedback.
And in the meantime, sorry, I'm just going to do this. Sorry about that. That's all really on me. Fun times. Okay, my speakers won't mute. But sure, let's do that. That's fine. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So this was we should be back up and running. So if you want to just go back to sharing your screen, and then just head back to your Facebook there. And
are we good? Yes.
Are we good?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So what were we talking about? Percentage of business versus personal on a Facebook business page.
Man, if I'd known we were going to have technical questions, I would have asked my fancy MBA and lawyer siblings to prepare a report. So I don't know. Off the top of my head, I really run by gut. I get good reaction from people, as you've probably seen. So I'm showing Peking duck in Beijing right now, and then our booth again at the show. When I'm traveling, if I'm working on a specific project, there are going to be more posts that are related to that project. But it could be, for example, this year I built a massive vegetable garden planter, and I probably put up 3 to 5 posts about that. And that's not business, and it's one specific thing, but it's something I was interested in. And I had great feedback from people giving me tips on how to keep my tomato plants growing, but not, got to snip the little part at the V of the branches. Gardeners in there know what I'm talking about. So it was good interaction. And then you'll see me. So here I'm trying on a blazer before my trip, and I'm making fun of myself because I wasn't planning on trying on blazers, and I wore a checkered shirt underneath it. Somebody was driving with a dog's head out of the car. Here I said, add me if you're on WeChat. Here it was interesting that this house I showed, somebody was using the printer box as their printer stand, but even more interestingly, the cat did not like that at all and had been demolishing it and using it as a cat scratch stand. So percentage, I'd say off the top of my head, is probably less than 10% purely business, where I'm just saying, look at this property, or come to my open house, or look at this 3D tour of a property, or I have buyers looking for this type of property. So let me know if you have a property like that to sell. So probably only about 10% purely business. I would say that about 40 to 50% is purely personal. And then the balance is like that nice mix of personal and business.
Gotcha. So let's have a look then at, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, you're involved with, you have your business page, you do your personal as well. And, you mentioned that your personal is very much, it could be either one. But what about Facebook groups and your involvement with groups? So I know you're quite active with the Royal LePage groups. Mm-hmm. What groups are you involved with? And how do you pick them, or are you just adding them?
Yeah, so you're right, Mike. I've chosen, because I'm very cautious about what I put on Facebook. I put I do very little online, or I try to do very little online, which could embarrass me or which could be viewed negatively by anybody. So my personal and my professional or business Facebook pages are virtually mirror images of one another. Slightly different messaging from time to time, but most of the time I'm posting the same thing, and that's actually being done automated. I can show you guys how that works later. What kind of groups? I mean, I don't have anything to hide. Why don't I go right in and I'll show you guys what kind of groups I'm involved in. Where are my groups? Here. So for those of you who don't know, there are, I'm just going to change that for 1 second while I talk. There are different types of groups. So there are public groups. There are closed groups where you must be invited, or your request to join must be approved by administrator. And then there are secret or hidden groups where even if you search for the name of the group, you can't find it. And various ones are used for various reasons. So some of these are closed, some of them are secret. Not a secret from you guys, but secret, you can't find them. So I've got some stuff here, a coaching program I'm a member of, some lead generating programs. Real Estate Hacks is a massive real estate group that has tens of thousands of agents who are sharing information. A BNI group, Lead Gen, Toronto Real Estate, Royal LePage Canadian, Do More Deals. Some groups I've found recently, especially in an area like Toronto, have become useful because as much as assignments, see this assignment group here, a lot of condo developers won't allow assignment sales to be advertised on MLS. Some savvy agents decided to try to get around that and created some closed or even hidden Facebook groups where we can tell each other about assignment opportunities we have with our clients. And then if we have a buyer for that assignment property, we can then approach the developer, who often will allow the assignment to go through, just didn't want the MLS getting flooded with assignment deals. Some resources, Treb's Young Professionals Network. I can't believe they let me in. Top tier is a Royal LePage group. My own brokerages, so Royal LePage Terre Equity is our brokerage. So listings that we advertise amongst 400 or so agents in our own brokerage. Royal LePage Terre Equity Networking, which is a separate group where we, ask for people to cover our open houses. We share best of, an old fraternity group, masterminding, et cetera, et cetera. Is that?
Yeah. And then, so in terms of, sorry, there's a lot of questions coming in about the ads. I think that's where a lot of people are really curious about. And it ties into two questions. One that came in from the Q&A from Marka Leibovitz and Brian.
Serbian.
I can tell he works with more people than I do. And Brian Sterling, I can get that one right. But in terms of the analytics, and how do you measure success on an ad that you're running on Facebook?
So I'll show you, I'll answer based on my greatest success. As much as my daughter's video did get a lot of traction, I did help it along a little bit in the beginning with a little bit of boosting. So that's why it's actually showing 230,000 people reached, because a portion of the time that it was on was boosted. So, I mean, we can view results, but to me, what I showed you earlier is where the success comes in. 120 shares. So shares to me are elements of a successful boosted ad. The comments that are left are to me interesting. And also, if people are sharing, or sorry, tagging friends of theirs, let me see if I can get this. There are a lot of comments. It might take a minute to load. So, even just here, Madeline said, "Hey, Beth and Ellen, I think Rob and Finn should do the video." I don't know who the heck they are. I'm going to connect with them. I might talk to them, but they're tagging other people. They're making other people aware of what I'm up to professionally. Look, if somebody said, "Adorable, she reminds me of you, Catherine, as a young realtor in the making," blah, blah, blah. That's interesting to me, and I think it's a good thing. Now, if you want to get down to dollars and cents, I'd say of my own business, only about 5%, 5 to 10% comes absolutely from online, and usually social media. The reason I'm a little vague on that is I've been fortunate enough to get a lot of online leads organically through people finding me because they see my books on Amazon or at Indigo, or they find me on U of T's website, the University of Toronto's website, where I developed and teach a course, or other things that I do to promote our motto of an educated approach to real estate. So I don't always know exactly why they came to us, but usually I'd say it's until 2 years ago, we were probably getting about a lead a week from online stuff. So that's non-social media related. And now we're probably up to about 1.5 to 2 leads a week. So if we say that the non-social media is the same, so I'm probably getting about 0.5 to 1 lead per week from social media activities. But that's 5 to 10% of my business purely from online. I'd say that 35, 25, 35, 40% of my deals are easier because somebody went online and saw something I posted or could relate to me. And a lot of my clients or initially my leads or prospects say that to me. They say, oh, I saw something you put out there that confirmed for me that we have similar interests, or you have the product or knowledge, the expertise that I'm looking for, or the area knowledge that I'm interested in, or you're not one of those closed off people who think everybody's out to steal their ideas. You generously share of your expertise and your knowledge. You must be a good person to work with.
So in terms of that then, tying to some of the stuff, is there anything, or did we already talk about, is there anything you won't post about?
Not really. I will, I'm very cautious. Well, sorry, not really. There's nothing I can put my finger on and say, I won't post about this. But basically, if there's anything that you think can embarrass you, I'd suggest not putting it online. If anybody's on Facebook, you probably know the people, and I'm sorry if there are a few here, but who comment on everything. And it's not just it's not an encouraging comment necessarily. It's not, hey, Bob, great job with that video, or hey, I wish I'd thought of that, or hey, could you show me how to do that? That's really great. You're somebody to look up to, or congratulations on the addition to your family, or congratulations on buying a house. Even if it wasn't with me, I'm still happy for you. That's the kind of positive commenting I think that's good for you and to build a reputation online. What I don't love seeing is when people comment and it's always their own opinion. People don't necessarily care about your opinion. And the problem is when they do care about your opinion, a lot of the time it's going to get you in trouble. They will hold it against you eventually, because it's almost impossible. No matter how much you are like peas in a pod with somebody else, eventually you're going to have differing views, and that could create conflict. And so I don't like to post about politics. I don't like to post about opining on other people's raising of children, or how they treat animals. I like to think most people do their best to raise their children, treat animals well, try to be respectful, productive members of society. We know that that's not always true, but me opining on that is not necessarily to make a lot of friends for me on social media. So I try to keep it neutral, try to put up fun stuff, some stuff that's real estate related, some stuff that overlaps with fun, personal, and real estate. And I try to just stay away from any negativity and stay away from anything that could have drastically differing views than somebody else.
So in terms of getting back a little bit more to the social media side of things, one of the good questions we got from Joan Charette is, in a listing appointment, do you tell the seller you budget an amount for social media to promote their home? And like, how do you tell them about this?
Yeah, it's I usually don't get into a specific amount. Usually tell them that we spend a significant amount on boosting, so basically on marketing of their property. And we do break it down sometimes. So there's some great reports that I've generated through Facebook Ads Manager, which will show me the amount of impressions, the amount of clicks that we got after spending $200, $500, $1,000, $1,500. And so I have several of those reports, and our budgets have been different depending on how challenging that property was to sell, or how much we wanted to penetrate that market ourselves, or how long we had the listing for, the value of the listing. So I don't usually say we spend this percentage or this dollar amount. Usually I'll say we spend a significant portion of money on marketing, which includes 3D tours, high-res pictures, promotion advertising and promotion online of open houses and of 3D tours and of your property. And then I show them the reports. So those reports range in spend from $100 or $50 even to $1,500. And so I mean, we're all realtors here. That's why I'm not saying it's this amount, because I don't want to pigeonhole myself into having to spend that amount or being expected to spend that amount if spending less is good. And sorry, I just got a quick, which microphone do you use? I noticed your daughter is wearing one in the, I can't remember the exact name. I think it's a Rode Video Micro. You guys can watch me search here. Yeah, see, I already visited this page. It's a wireless, it's a professional wireless mic. There's a unit that goes on the camera, and there's, no, it's not that one. I used the wireless one. So this is one that's a boom mic. We use the
lapel one, yeah.
Yeah, a lapel one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a couple good questions from Brian Sterling, who's just asked, I think you just mentioned your monthly ad budget for Facebook. Or
well,
a little.
I mentioned in the French, I think in the French one. Yeah. So I mean, we regularly will spend between $500 and more than $1,000 a month, and a lot of the time we're boosting posts to serve clients. So we're not boosting posts that are necessarily to get more clients in a certain area. That's a separate Facebook budget of ours. But I'd say combined our total Facebook budget between boosting posts for open houses, listings, 3D tours, etc., and anything that I post up, even just a picture that I think might connect with people, we might boost sometimes, combined with Facebook lead generation ads, our monthly spend is around $1,500 to $2,000. And
do you run, in terms of a follow-up question you had, is are you sometimes, you mentioned running some couple real quick ones, but are you running any long-term campaigns, 15, 30 days monthly?
Our online, our Facebook lead generating ads, yes, those are very long-term, going for months and months and eventually years.
Can you show, I mean, do you have access to any of the reports you were mentioning that you share with clients?
I was looking earlier, I couldn't find it quickly. Oh, here we go. Maybe. Let's see an interesting post.
This is the tough thing with loading times, is sometimes it's not easy to find what we're looking for. Yeah. And I think what you just mentioned there will answer one of the questions that came in from the TAN team as well, though, and I'll answer it a little bit while you're going through. But I was saying, you know, clearly what you're doing here is not just boosting specific posts or boosting listings or stuff like. It's a variety of different right. ads that are being run. Some, as you mentioned, are part of the lead gen kind of ad, trying to get people to connect with you. Some of them are really specific to a listing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can find a. Do you know where it is, where you get all the graphics and everything?
Oh my, Claude, it's been a long time.
Yeah, no, I apologize, folks. I don't have. I think that's somewhere through my ads manager, manage ads, but I'm not gonna find it quickly enough.
Not quickly enough, yeah. Not especially not with this internet speed.
If anybody's interested, if you message me, I'd be happy to send a screenshot later to you individually.
And so, in terms of that, then. In that lead generating ad that you mentioned, I mean, what are the kind of things that you're including in there?
Well, it depends what you're looking for. So if you're looking for people who are interested in sending their kids to a very specific or some of the top tier, the top private schools in Toronto, for example, you might have an ad saying, our team understands private school education, and, you know, tag or mention all the schools that they might be interested in. If you want to work with people who are a little older, you can target demographically. You can target their demographic through Facebook ads, and you might want to put up pictures that would appeal to them. So it could be anything from retirement residents, or something about downsizing, or about grandchildren.
It's very specific.
It
like
is.
You mentioned before, really speaking to the audience, yeah. and not just trying to be generic, but really speak in the language they want to hear and try to connect with them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the only posts that I boost myself are the ones that I've been showing you, where it's 3D tours, open house stuff, just promoting a property specifically, or one of my personal posts. Any of the lead generating stuff, we engage companies who do that full time. They can measure from 1 week to the next our spend, and they can adjust the ads appropriately. And we put different ads. They put different ads up depending on whether we're looking to get buyer or seller ads, seller leads. Buyer leads might be, like I said, somebody who's downsizing, looking for that perfect condo from a house, or looking for houses in a certain school catchment area. Seller ads might be a map of a specific area saying, would you like to know how much your property is worth in this specific area? And then targeting that specific geographic area. So
we don't have, it's pretty much 3 o'clock right now. And I want to remind you guys to stick on the line, because we're going to pick some people to win their books, and you're going to have to get in touch with Claude to get that book. So it's, you know, not so easy for you, right? But I want to wrap it up with really really 2 questions. Number 1 is, for someone who is just getting into this stuff, just getting into their Facebook page, maybe they've taken out an ad, what would you say they should be thinking of doing right now?
So just getting started, or when they want to start?
Like maybe they've taken an ad, and they've seen some results, but they're still like somewhat hesitant. They're still,
in my opinion, I mean, once you get comfortable with with posting on Facebook or other social media platforms, and commenting and liking and understanding the consequences of every little thing that you do, and where people might be coming from, who might be seeing your stuff, then you can start experimenting with boosting things. And you can probably, I don't remember what the minimums are, you could probably spend $5 or $10 boosting something and looking at the result. You are going to have to spend more than that over a long period of time if you want to start seeing results. One of our lead generation ads, we spend $40 a day is the budget for that specific one. So eventually you don't have to spend that amount. A lot of the time, I'd say the minimum that some lead generation companies will work with, I think, is $5 of ad spend per day. So just get started. Try to boost something. Try to modify the area you're targeting or the demographics of the audience you're targeting. Try boosting different things: a video, a 3D tour link, a picture of yourself, a picture of your pet, of your family, of your team. And just try different things, and you'll start to see some different reactions. And if you're shy about starting off, what you can do is get some colleagues or even friends and say, listen, I just put up a picture of my new dog, or of my new lawn that I just seeded and the grass is coming through. Could you go and comment on it? I just want to start learning how to get that back and forth going. So that's where I start.
And then for somebody, in terms of saying, you know, I mean, you have a pretty extensive ad budget. For somebody they're spending it, they're out there, they're taking out ads, they're boosting posts. What would you recommend for that person who's trying to get to the next level? I mean, would you say it's really more of the same though?
For how much to spend?
Like, no, but the person they're into it, they're spending their money, they got a budget for social media, they're spending their time on, you know, they're doing some of these things, but they want to get their ads to the next level.
I'd say learn. I mean, I'm kind of at that point where, you know, learn about the technologies, learn about how and when to strategically boost things. For example, with my daughter's video, I knew I had something there. So I chose to boost it a little bit to see where it could go. I didn't do the same thing with other posts that some people would think are cute, but I didn't feel like the formula was magical enough to really do that much with it. I'd also say, you know, unless your full-time job is online marketing, use professionals to manage your campaigns.
And that ties into a good question that Mary and Joan wrote at the same time. What companies would you recommend to use? And this will be the last question for you. We do got to wrap it up at some point, because you, of course, have showings.
Yeah, no, yeah,
but is there a company?
There are a bunch out there. I do use Google Clicks as well, Rebecca, or Google AdWords. And I don't manage those at all. I have no interest in that nightmare of managing that. But that's a whole other story. For social media, there's some great, here's a gentleman actually who runs Street Text, which is a great Facebook lead generating platform. Commissions Inc. out of the US has great penetration with Facebook lead gen. There are tons and tons and tons. Those are two, I mean, there are a handful that I'm familiar with. Those are two that I'll throw out there right now.
Nice. So let's get back then. So, because I do want to respect everybody's time.
And if anybody has individual questions, I mean, I don't really want to get 1,000 questions through Facebook Messenger, but if you do have one or two things that you didn't understand, or you'd like me to send you the name of something I mentioned in writing so that you can really make sure you're looking at the right thing, send me a quick message. Even for the microphone on my my Osmo DJI Osmo Pro camera, the wireless one, I'm happy to find the right one and send it to you. It is actually an awesome wireless mic. So yeah, don't feel shy to send out questions like that to me personally.
Gotcha. So let's get into. So I wrote down. I have some names of people who have asked good questions, and there were a lot of really good questions. So I wrote down a number of people, and these were all great questions. So we're going to pick out some to win some books. And in terms of that,
there we go. Okay, we've got 3. If you're not one of the 3 winners I'm choosing right now based on your questions, and you still want to be entered until the end of the day today, anybody who likes my Facebook page as well as Point Man Public Relations Facebook page will be entered into a draw for a 4th free book.
And you can purchase this also from Amazon as well.
Yeah,
you mentioned a couple places.
You can. I mean, I'm really not here to push it.
I know, but some people ask.
I prefer to give them out to future referral partners personally. It'll give you a good idea of how I think and how I run my business, actually. So really quickly, the 3 people, and tons of questions. Thank you, everyone. The 3 people I'd like to touch with a book are Rebecca Shore, Mary Coughlin, and Matthew Gillum. Thank you, all 3 of you. Please send me your mailing address through Facebook Messenger or an email, and I'll make sure we get it out to you in the mail later this week. Actually, no, my assistant's on vacation. Next week, when she's back, we'll get it in the mail to you.
And in terms of that, Mary wanted to know just how much does your daughter get for a commission for her work?
Yeah, I saw that. That's a trick question. I was actually asked that on national TV live, and I kind of choked because I was going to say 10%, but then I went, wait a minute, she's not licensed.
Oh, boy.
She can't get. So we actually, for the next interview, I actually had to ask my daughter that. Well, she ran to me after we got off the interview, and she said, I think we settled on 3 things. She wanted another, she got an exposure to something once, and so she's always looking for more. She got a horseback riding lesson. She got a whole series of the new Babysitter Club books in English. And she got some hair chalk because she loves dyeing her hair. So those are the consultation fees that she earned through working with me.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually wanted her on the webinar, but I had to go through Dad, and he took all the glory.
She's running around at day camp, so.
So I mean, I want to thank you, Claude. I mean, personally, thank you so much. He's been here with us for 3 hours, pretty much. This is a big chunk of his day. So I really want to thank you so much on behalf of Royal LePage Canada.
Pleasure.
Coming out, dedicating your time, and sharing your information.
My pleasure.
I see a lot of thanks. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. If, by the way, if some people are asking about watching it again, we're going to send you an email with the link so you can watch it again. You can rewatch it right now if you want. Just rewind the video. It's YouTube Live is PVR'd, actually.
Yes, Matthew, message me privately. We'll hook up.
So I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Claude, again, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next month. We're going to be talking about Facebook groups. And so if that was something that's interesting to you, we're going to talk about running them, how you do them.
I'm not here next week. This isn't weekly?
Claude is going to be back here daily for the...
That's it, folks. See you later.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.